Alrighty guys, welcome back to Unlocking Success with Rich Homie Vang and myself, Eric Eclipse. How are we doing, man?
Hello, my beautiful listeners. Welcome to another episode.
Yeah, you guys are beautiful. Even though we might not know what you look like, the fact that you're watching us, that's what makes you beautiful. But, yeah, we're back. Episode number 11. Hit that milestone last time. Cheers to many more, my brother. Today we're going to be going into some indicators of, or 10 indicators of what makes someone untrustworthy. And Michael here is going to go through some paraphrasing of some information he found.
Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing, or we're going to dive into 10 indicators that an individual cannot be trusted, as discussed by Dr. Les Carter. And if you wait for the end, we have 2 additional bonus indicators that you would probably want to look out for. So, there are all sorts of scenarios where, you can have some initial positive impressions of other people you meet through your lives. And it may seem as though, those initial relationships being created might be, very uplifting, and it might be a, uplifting, positive experience for you. This can be, say, in the work setting where you're working on projects with, another coworker or multiple coworkers, or, this could be inside social scenarios or organizations that you belong to, and this can also be with people inside your family. But over time, as you develop these relationships with said individuals, a larger question can emerge in your mind, and that question is, how far can I trust this person? Is this someone I could give full disclosure to? Is this somebody that could come deeper into my personal circle? There are, very important questions that you have to, ask yourself, and ascertain or discover, because trust is one of the key bedrock foundation, ingredients of a healthy, deepening relationship or relationships. Like Big Sean said in that one Justin Bieber song, trust us, a couple of things I can't spell without you. As I've said, trust is the building block of most relationships. If there is no trust, then what is there?
Yeah. I feel like trust is one and then respect is another. Because, if I don't respect you, then why the hell would I want to associate with you? But, yeah, trust is... There's probably a couple more, but trust is one of those big ones. I mean, yeah. Especially if you're getting into personal subjects. I'm not just going to go tell some random dude on the street all this important things if I don't, first off, know him and or trust him. So, yeah.
Yeah, so today we're going to be diving into 10 different signs that, you're going to want to watch out for when, engaging and setting up new relationships with individuals. And these signs, might imply that a person may not be as trustworthy as you want them to be. And we're just going to dive right into it. So the first thing to watch out for is how superficial an individual might be with their personal disclosures. So trust is built upon allowing one another to know each other from the inside out. But there are some individuals you realize over time that they don't really reveal a lot about themselves, or will say how the inner workings of their mind works. How they think, how they process thoughts, how they process stimuli, and then thus generating a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example of this would be, as we said, about reactions. It's like, say you're observing someone have an interaction with, one of their siblings, and say if it's not like a really, friendly interaction, and then you're like, hey, I noticed, you had set an interaction with so-and-so. Why did you react in such a way? You're just trying to generate basic conversation, not really, dive into other people's business and such. You're just wondering, hey, this happened, you reacted this way, why'd you do that? But said person who reacted in a certain way, they'll be like, oh, well, it's the way this is the way I usually react. This is how it's been. They're trying to just brush it off as if, it's not really important. And they don't really get that much deep into it. So basically, what that person is saying is, I don't really like to engage in personal vulnerabilities. I don't like to talk about what's going on inside of me, how I process thoughts and such. And, it can be, all sorts of other things as well. It can be why they work on a project as diligently as they do, but it can also be the opposite, why they don't work on the project super diligently, and it's always these superficial responses, rather than getting straight to the point of their way of thinking. So like another way to put it, it's it's their way of saying, don't get too close to me, because I basically just don't do that stuff. It's just not how I roll. Like you can try, but you're not gonna break through to me.
Yeah, and it can also be like I think you probably mentioned it, but it's an internal conflict within themselves, and it's not like they like that they act that way, but they're scared to figure out why they do. It's just a self-defense mechanism. Mm. So when, like the example you gave, someone tries to come talk to them, they get so defensive about it because they don't want to open that rabbit hole, because they don't know what they're going to find out. That once you open Pandora's box, who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, it could send them into a spiral out of control. But at the end of the day, when you have an internal conflict like that, and you actually want to get better, I mean, if you don't, then you don't, right? You don't want to get better as a person, that's cool, that's your choice. But that box has got to get opened at some point. But at the same time, sorry, it's a little bit of a tangent, it's not your problem to dissect that necessarily. I mean, if they clearly want to act like that, that's their choice, they could do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of like flowers, when the sun touches them, they bloom out, they open up.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's just natural. That's kind of how you want things to be. But when you start forcing stuff, then, yeah,
it's bad.
It's not good.
Yeah, and that's why, once again, you as an outside party can't influence them to come out. I don't mean like come out as like gay or anything like that, but you can't force them to bloom and open up about why they act like that. Take it however you want, but think of the sun as like God or something like that. They gotta find something to look up to.
Yeah, so, we'll just continue. We have the second indicator a person may not be very trustworthy is, there are some individuals who just seem to have an inability to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
You've heard it said, you can learn a lot by your mistakes that you make. However, many individuals who are not really trustworthy typically don't like to talk about their mistakes. Or if they do, they're going to downplay it, they're going to brush it off, not take accountability, and, typically tend to continue to do said negative or non-productive actions over and over again. It's like definition of insanity. I know we said it twice already on here, but it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But they don't take accountability of their mistakes. They don't want to feel the shame, I guess, in making mistakes. But we're humans, we make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't learn from it, they keep doing the same thing, and they're basically just digging themselves a deeper hole.
Yeah, I used to work with someone who was so, or at least when he first started at this place, but he was so scared to make mistakes to the point where it negatively impacted his performance as role, as job. It was irritating because when you live like that, you're never gonna be who you can be. Mistakes are part of life. Never treat a mistake as a loss. It's always a learning experience. Like when you make enough mistakes, hypothetically, and you hit rock bottom, right? You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. The only time you're ever starting from scratch is pretty much when you're a kid. You don't know anything. And if you're hitting rock bottom as a kid, then it's got to be something. But yeah, don't live in fear like that. It's not good.
Yeah. So individuals who don't learn from their mistakes and continuously do the wrong things are basically saying, I just want to be on an island unto myself. Like, I'm in my own bubble. This is my own world. I don't like to engage and exchange in insightful ways with other individuals about who I am. It can tie into, we'll say the first part with number one. It's just, I'm going to downplay, ignore my mistakes, and I'm not going to learn from them, or I'm not going to be able to receive direction or insight from, outside sources because I'm still stuck in my ego. I'm still stuck in my head. Even though I'm wrong, I am right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though I fail, I still succeed in somehow. It's a weird way of thinking, but we see it time and time again.
Yeah, it's not good. If you can't take criticism from other people, then you got a problem. Because your ego is always going to tell you, like you just said, that you're always right, even when you're probably wrong. Then you're always going to think like that. So those type of people need to hit a rock bottom. But even then, there's no saying that they're ever going to actually improve from it. But
so we have the third indicator, and it's individuals who give lots of unsolicited advice, but then interestingly, they tend not to be all that eager to receive other people's inputs. These all tie in. It's like it's my way or the highway, but there is no highway. For example, this can be, or for example, when something happens, that individual may say, well, you need to do this, or I think you ought to try X, Y, and Z, and they're very free in letting you know, here's the way I think things, should go, and yet when it comes to, when it comes time to brainstorm, different methodologies about how things should go, in their mind they're like, why would we do that when I already told you what we should do? It could be a bunch of things. I don't know why disc golf is the first thing that comes to my mind, but we'll say just in disc golf, or I guess you can play like regular golf as well. You can just be a savage and be like, all right, I'm just gonna hit this ball, and it's gonna go here, or I can be play it smart in a certain way, right? like, I guess if the opportunity is open to just, completely go straight over a water hazard, but I guess the fairway, curls around the water hazard, we'll say, it's like you can do whatever you want, but said individual is just like, you should do it like this way. Like, I do it this way, you should just do it this way.
Yeah, which in that situation, in that moment, like, that's very dependent on the person behind the club, right? I mean, if you've hit that water shot hazard plenty of times, then go for it, because you're taking a shot out of that hole, right? Hypothetically. But if you're not that comfortable, go around the fairway. Just do it that way. Yeah, and people like that who think that their way or the highway, sometimes that works depending on the resume that person brings to the table, right? A lot of times that's not the case, though. In which, yeah, you might have had success previously, but it doesn't mean in this particular conversation, in this particular problem-solving scenario, that your methodology is right. In which, obviously, that leads to a lot of problems, but it's all situational. Oh no, don't be that kind of person, though. I don't know. It doesn't work. But I mean, you can use that person who maybe has done things like that in the past and use their experiences to build off and come up with some sort of new plan. But yeah, if you got something like that, kick them out.
Yeah, like we'll say, with that golf example, both avenues to basically get into the hole works, but it's not like one of them doesn't work. Like, you can choose whichever one you want.
Yeah.
And typically these people who will give a ton of free unsolicited advice, but won't be so eager to take advice for themselves. They'll always be like, just fuck it, go for it over that water hazard.
Hey, sometimes that's the move, but you gotta think about that shit before you just send it like that.
Yeah. This is basically their way of saying, hey, there's one person in the room that knows everything. Happens to be me. So why don't you just do what I do? And like Eric said, there is certain times where said individual does have a resume, or they have a ton of experience, and they know which method is the best way to go upon. Follow them, or try it once, see how you think. But if there's something completely new, and there are a bunch of other methods to explore, and to try out and experiment with, you might as well experiment and try it out.
Yeah, whenever, like, we'll just say for investing strategies, I have different avenues of people I listen to for investing, right? I don't listen to one person specifically and do it their way every single time. No, you take bits and pieces of everything and you make it your own. Same thing like with fighting, right? Like, I pull different things I like from other fighters, but I make it my own. At least I try to. That's what's worked for me, and I think that's the most efficient way to do it because it keeps it unique. But at the same time, you understand where those people get their ideas from, and you can always change your whole process differently if it needs to be, overcompensate for someone else's idea. We'll just say, like, if you're, like, for me, I like to fight, like, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Adesanya, Max Holloway, and sometimes, like, Petr Yan, right? Let's say that's who I'm basing my fight style off, but this particular person, maybe I can't use as much range, so I'm going to tailor my fighting style maybe a little bit more towards, like, how Petr Yan fights, more of a Muay Thai boxer style, and less like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson with the karate kicks. You can use that in life, depending on what you're doing.
So with that third indicator, this leads us into the fourth indicator. So once you pick up on the fact that you know, those type of individuals who, you know, give out a ton of free, unsolicited advice, they don't like taking it for themselves. Soon you'll come to, you know, face the fact that, you know, those people can also be easily critical.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we all have things that we don't like, we don't care for, and we may comment on it, you know, here and there, and that in itself isn't really a red flag, because everyone has their own thoughts, their own mind, their own opinion on things. It's when individuals tend to do that way too easily. They'll find, like, there could be, you know, so we'll say 100 things. We'll say 99 of these items are perfect. One of them is defective. They'll focus on said one defective item.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like whenever they see something, it's almost as though they're obligated to say, you know, let me tell you what's wrong with that one. Or, you know, this person over here, let me tell you, you know, what's wrong. And they always seem to go to a place of criticism far too willingly and easily. And, you know, it seems to be one of those over and over kind of things. You know, after a while, it will more likely than not get you thinking, okay, well, when am I next to be criticized? Or, you know, what are they saying behind my back? Because, you know, if they're saying stuff about other people to me, or, yeah, they're saying stuff about other people behind their back to me, what are they saying about me behind my back to other people?
Exactly.
And, you know, criticism is an indicator that trust is something that you know, is trust is not something you want to necessarily hand over.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, with the shit talking behind your back, there's no way. I mean, sure, there's a possibility, but, like, most likely, there's no way that that person who's shit talking about other people behind their back to you is only doing it to that person. Not how it works. When you have a person like that, it's because that's universally how they work. Yeah, it's just the best to avoid someone like that, or just only use them when you have to. I don't know.
So we have the fifth indicator that a person might not be trustworthy is that they are generally evasive, coy, or vague in terms of revealing their plans and their activities. And, you know, we're talking about relationships where, like, there is trust. I'm pretty sure, you know, you don't trust a fucking shit ton of people out there. Like, it's a very small group of people that, you know, you have trust. So we're talking about that. We're not talking about, you know, the majority of, like, you know, telling everyone your plans, because you should not be telling everyone your plans. But we'll say the people that you're very close knit to, that, you know, you trust yourselves, you know, you would typically, if asked, you know, reveal what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
You know, what do you have planned? You know, an example of this, you know, it may be that you'll say something to the effect of, you know, I've got such and such going on this weekend. What about you? And the person will respond, no, I'm not really sure. And, you know, a couple times here and there, it's fine, because, you know, maybe you don't know what you have planned for the future. But, you know, it can be as if this response just becomes very consistent, and one that they give over and over again. And, you know, you really don't even know what, you know, they're up to, you know, where they're going, who they're with. And it's that individual basically saying, you know, I want to keep a tight control about how much of me that I reveal to you, and you don't really need to know that much about me. And we're saying like those relationships where you do have trust. If you have trust, then why would you not be open to revealing what you have planned? Say if you do know, and like people you truly trust.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically it. You know, they don't want to reveal it. Like in the art of war, it's, you know, or maybe it's not art of war. Maybe it's I think it's 48 Laws of Power, if that's the title. One of them is don't reveal your plans. You know, be kind of deceptive. But I don't think that applies to, you know, deep relationships that you have with individuals.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. But, I mean, like, with you, I mean, you and I'm not shy to, obviously, I don't need to explain that, but other individuals, like, maybe I'll salt bay with just a little bit of, sprinkle a little bit on there. But, yeah, you might know an overview of some of my plans, but you don't know the nitty-gritty shit. I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah, like, if we're, you know, we'll bring up an example of war. Your allies divulge full plans. Enemies, I'd probably just, you know, keep it a minimum, or if you're gonna sprinkle it, just like, here's what you think we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, throw some deceit in there, right? And try and tamper with their mind, make them think that you're gonna do something different. But yeah, exactly.
But with trust, it's like allies in war.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to reveal. And if a person that you think is an ally doesn't want to be revealing plans in a war, like a war, realm, we'll say, they could be
bad.
They could be a traitor. Yeah,
it depends though. Who knows? Because maybe they're not giving you plans because they think that you might be corrupt or something like that. Shit, who knows? But yeah, just make good judgment there, right? At the end of the day, though, it's your choice. If you want to tell everyone what you do, then go for it.
So we have the sixth indicator someone may not be fully trustworthy is that said someone can be fair weather friends. And what I mean by that is that they're there for the good times, when the games and the laughter and the pleasantness and the food is good, the grass is green. It's like, yes, sign me up. I am your friend. I am more than acquaintance. You know, I'm a part of your circle. But then in the midst of difficulties, strange troubles, or hardships, it's like a flick of a switch. It's like, deuces, I'm out of here, man. Like, this is your problem. Even though I'm in your circle, like, this is your problem. Like, fuck you, I'm out of here. And, you know, you're left to question, you know, where they went. It's like, oh, you were here when it was good. Where are you now that I need you?
Shout out Justin Bieber,
Skrillex,
yeah,
Diplo, Jack U.
Yeah, that's how you instantly know that someone's full of shit.
It's said that crisis reveals character. When you're in your moments of crisis, and then someone shows up and says, hey, here I am.
Yeah.
How can I help you? And that's somebody you can trust. But when they run away, what the response is saying, at least, you know, or what their response should be revealing to you and saying to you is that, okay, let's keep this relationship shallow because you are not worth my resources.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like, if you're only here for the good times, then... Like, if you're only here for the good times, you're not here for my bad times, then...
Just don't be here for any time.
You're not worth my time.
Hey, it's like what Cortana said. Don't make a girl a promise you know you can't keep. Right? I mean... I don't go saying, for example, like, hey, man, if you need anything, you let me know, I got you. Without being genuine. Just how it is. Because I don't want to go saying a bunch of shit. Slander my name. Right?
And I guess that can lead us into number 7. So 7 indicators someone may not be trustworthy is people They have consistent inconsistency. Do you know of certain people that may say, I'm going to do such and such by a certain time? But once that time comes around, it's like, well, they didn't do what they said they were going to do.
It's the shoulda, woulda, coulda, man.
Yeah.
That's what that shit is right there.
It can even be something simple as, I'll give you a call tomorrow and check up on things. But tomorrow rolls around, no phone call. Or, an individual will make plans. Like, they'll be the one that makes the plan. And they're always late. Or, they're turning in assignments and they're doing things very last minute. So, that's what I mean when I say, constantly inconsistent. Trustworthy people go by their words. It's their bond. Like when Eric was saying, like, hey man, if you need anything, reach out. Like, it's genuine. It's genuine. He means it. Trustworthy people, it's like, I say it, I do it. If I said it, I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the contrary, you have individuals will say and act as if their words are fluid and subject to change. They'll follow through if and when they feel like it. And that's basically a sign of lack of trust.
Yeah.
We have the 8th indicator, which is the routine mismanagement of anger. So life is going to get frustrating, tense. You're going to feel agitated. And at times you're going to just get downright angry. It's normal. It shouldn't be a shock that, yes, people have feelings too. But what you're going to want to do is watch and see how one manages the anger. It's when people go straight into the rudeness or the condescension or the forcefulness and the harshness in their anger. And it's their way of saying, deep down, I really don't respect people, especially if you disagree with me. And it fits perfectly with today's culture. It's, if you disagree with me, you're wrong, and I'm going to get angry about it.
Yeah, it's like what we talked about last week. Projection, I think it was last week. Projection,
yeah.
It's the same thing. And they clearly don't have respect for you, especially if you disagree with them, but it's because they don't have respect for their fucking self, man. If you like who you are, you're not just going to go be an asshole to random people that disagree with you. It's the last thing I'm going to fucking do. What the hell? You disagree with something I said? Cool, man. Like, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, let me hear
your thoughts.
What you think.
Yeah.
And if the only thing you're going to do is just battle me because of what I think,
and because of your ego, then I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't even want to be around you anymore. Because clearly you're so self-centered on this one philosophy that very well could be wrong. Well, not even that, but like, sometimes I think you gotta stop thinking about things so dualistically, right or wrong, left and right, black and white, that sort of thing. Just be more broad with your perspective, open to different interpretations of how the fucking world works, man. There's not always right or wrong. You don't always have to meet or come to an agreement either. It's fine. But just be open to hear what other people have to say. And if you don't, then fuck off. Don't talk to people about things then.
Yeah, you can tell a lot about an individual's maturity and how they manage anger. You can still, in anger, stand up for yourself and your convictions, but you can also maintain a certain diplomacy and decency about it. And people get to walk away with their self-respect still intact. Trustworthy people don't think that way.
Mm-hmm.
it's, there's debates and there's arguments.
Yeah.
Debates is kind of it's rare now. It's
Yeah.
always an argument.
Yeah, debate, just bounce something back and forth, what each other has to say. Argument, you both have your point, you stand your ground, you're not budging. That's it. And anger is actually a beautiful thing. Like you said earlier, we're human, we have it. It's the people that can apply their anger properly that get ahead. If you get mad, but you know how to use it for your benefit and or the benefit of whatever pissed you off, you're going to be able to get ahead because you have all that pent up emotion. So you're just fired up, you're ready to go. But if you know how to properly distribute that, it's going to make probably the situation easier. As opposed to someone who just gets a roid rage and just tries to fight everything.
Yeah, agreed. So we are currently on the ninth indicator that a person might not be trustworthy is that they may like affection and affirmation, but then over the long period of time, you realize that they're not really that encouraging or kind in general. In other words, they like to be they like to be the good time person and let it all roll like, yeah, come and tell me how nice I am. But when it comes time to have a sensitive response from said person, where there needs to be a tenderness or a need to get in touch with strong empathetic skills, and that's missing, that implies that there's I'm only here when it benefits me kind of mentality. Yeah, it's like, I'll be a nice person when, I'll have people there to tell me I'm a nice person. But when it comes time for me to actually be a nice person, and it doesn't benefit me, then why the fuck would I be a nice person? It could be the same thing as like people's images. Say if you want to like build your reputation and stuff. It's just like, oh, in the limelight, I'm this goody two shoe, yada yada yada, but back behind the scene, it's like I ain't that.
Isn't that Ellen DeGeneres? I think is an example of that. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I think I've only seen one example of that. When she's like when the cameras are not on.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like obviously when the cameras are on her, she's Ellen DeGeneres, but behind the cameras, I allegedly she's just like a tyrant. But I don't know, and I guess I don't care too much. But that just came into my head. But yeah, just be yourself all around. Just be a kind person. But I mean, that's up to your jurisdiction. It's hard to be a kind person to someone who's an asshole. It really is. And depending on where you're at, you might not even warrant you being kind about it. But
yeah, but you being kind to a complete asshole.
They don't like that.
Later on, they'll realize like, shit, man, I was an asshole. Like, this person is still being nice to me.
Well, you can be nice but assertive, kind but assertive. Like, if someone's being an asshole to you, stand your ground, bite back at them, but
with kindness.
Yes,
with kindness.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's number 9. So we have the 10th of the 10th reason an individual may not be as trustworthy, from Dr. Les Carter, and that is non-trustworthy people like to talk about their successes and the things that make them distinct and unique, but they really don't go into much detail at all about their failures. This kind of ties in with their mistakes, but mistakes and we'll say failures are kind of more grand-ish, but same with mistakes. We're human beings. We all fail. We all have mistakes that make us go, we all have moments that make us go, well, that wasn't my greatest situation there. I could have definitely
Done something
better.
But it's about accepting that.
And the deeper you get to know people, the more willing they're going to be to openly explain and discuss said situations that they realized and accepted that they weren't at their best. Non-trustworthy individuals will either blame other individuals if their failures come out. They can have shame about their past and therefore just can't work through it. They tend to put shame on other individuals and they really can't reveal who they are themselves. They can't be honest about those negative aspects, even though it's a part of our humanity. It's human nature, but they just want to cut that completely out. It's, like, if I don't talk about my imperfections, or if I don't, shine light on my imperfections, then I'm only perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's perfect.
I was reading about it earlier. I wish I have the book upstairs, but it was talking about kind of tapping into the. It's going to sound weird, but it's about tapping into the infinite, right? Because there's no real boundary as far as what we are capable of, as far as human beings. But if you live your life being fearful, mad, aggressive, that sort of thing, you're never going to get close to achieving what you can be. But if you always act out of love and just try and be a good person, I can show you after this too what we're talking about. You're going to get closer to becoming infinite, basically. Sounds weird, but it's from the book The Biggest Secret by David Icke. It's at the very end of the book. But yeah, it's very interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I'll show you.
So that wraps up Dr. Les Carter's 10 indicators. But as an added bonus, as promised, here are 2 additional indicators to watch out for. So an 11th indicator that an individual may not be trustworthy is that the person overly gossips around and generally tells you things you don't ask, or tells you things about other people or about other people you don't even know,
or don't care about,
or don't care about. It's kind of the same thing as the unsolicited advice, but it's just unsolicited gossip.
Yeah, it's like TMI, but not really, because it's just unwanted information. I'm assuming, is that all you had to say about that point, or was there more?
I guess there's more, but I'll let you just.
No, I was just gonna say, when someone does that, it's because they're trying to. They know you're not like them necessarily, so they're just trying to pull you into their frame of thinking, and get you to act like them. That's how I see that.
That is true. It's their fish hook.
Yeah, man. People are always gonna gossip.
Yeah, their fish hook with a bait on it, and
they're trying to get you to take it.
They're trying to really win.
Yeah, and pull you out of your frame into their frame.
And it's quite strange how these individuals talk so badly about these people, but then a few days later, you'll see them hanging out with said people they were talking trash about.
Yeah, they'd be like best friends. Like, bro, what?
And it ties in with the same thing about the person who is criticizing others and such and so forth. If they're gossiping about others to you, they're for sure gossiping about you to others.
Yeah, it's like that point earlier. When someone acts like that, they always act like that.
And then we have the 12th and the last indicator that a person may not be trustworthy. And it's a simple one. It's individuals who lie.
Yeah, stay away from that.
An easy example is individuals who exaggerate or omit telling the full story of things, or just outright lie in order to protect their fragile egos. These kind of people are never trustworthy. Like, why would you trust a liar? It's very simple. It's very simple.
It's literally the opposite of truth. So how can you trust someone that doesn't speak the truth?
Yeah. Let it be known that these individuals always have their own interests at heart. And
they make that known.
I'll say it again. This may seem obvious, but like the last indicator about having these kind of people in your circle, although something is known, once said lie or lies about something, don't act like you didn't see it coming.
Yeah. And if you didn't see it coming and it bites you in the ass, then that's your fucking fault for poorly analyzing a person.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if someone's a liar, right? You can hang out with them, right? But don't share with them some of the things that you would share with someone that you have full trust with. Because that's stupid. Why would you do that? But, even then, it's probably best to avoid people like that, but hey, make your judgment on it.
And let's recognize that trust is built upon openness, honesty, self-disclosure, accountability, and approachability. Some individuals can be pleasant and friendly up to a point, but they can't really go into that deeper level. We're hoping that you can read these kinds of things that we've mentioned, discuss, and know that there are people that, you only really can engage with up to a certain level. And, make sure you always have your guard up. Don't let your guard down way too fast.
Yeah.
Because then that's when you get kind of fucked over.
If you got your guard down and you throw, you're asking to get countered. That's it.
And it may seem like 99% of the world's population exhibits these quote-unquote qualities nowadays, but one final word of encouragement that we can give to you is the best way for you to know if another individual is trustworthy is for you to be that trustworthy person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because through that, you will acquire a good gauge to measure the rest of humanity by.
Mm-hmm.
And
you'll know what to look for.
Yeah, if you're that trustworthy person, you can definitely look out and see if the other person can be as well. And if the other person is not portraying aspects and signs of being trustworthy, look back at yourself. Are you not being trustworthy? Because I know definitely for me, the way I act to some people is different than the way I act to people, that do have my trust. We'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I really got for today's episode.
Yeah, so the root of a lot of things, it always starts within yourself. Because you try to have expectations in others of yourself. And sometimes that's fair, sometimes it's not. But yeah, if you're having problems with something, you gotta look within yourself first to figure out if you got it right. Because how can you criticize someone of something when you're... sorry, losing words here. You can't criticize someone for something when you're like that. That's just being hypocritical. No one likes a hypocrite. And if you do, then you're weird. But hey, whatever floats your boat, dog. But yeah, we'll just recap some of the points that we got for today, and then we'll wrap this up. So, once again, the overall point of this episode was just some indicators on what can make someone untrustworthy, basically. You can't force people to reveal themselves. That's something they have to find within themselves, like I was just explaining there. Don't be afraid of mistakes. We're humans. We make them. It's natural. Never treat them as a loss. Treat them as a learning experience. Make a process for your own life like I was saying earlier, with like fight styles. If you're trying to get better at something, find some people that you watch and or know that you trust, and pull bits and pieces from everyone and make it your own. Never reveal your full battle plans to someone that's not trustworthy. That's just like dumb. Makes no sense. If you're ever angry, that's fine. We get angry. Use it to your advantage. Because when you're angry, you're on a whole nother level. It's like what Kobe said, you know? Are you a different beast or a different animal and the same beast? Think about that. Be kind towards others, but don't back down. Kill them with kindness, right? Just avoid liars on a close friend basis. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. And learn to make good judgment about people. And that is a lot easier when you have a good base to build it off, aka through yourself. So, that's pretty much for a recap. Turn back over to you.
Well, be sure to like, comment, or like, dislike, comment your thoughts, good or bad, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell so whenever we upload a new episode, you'll get a notification to stay up to date with the info we put out. Be sure to follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Unlocking Success. Follow me everywhere at RichHomieVang. Follow Eric on Instagram at Eric_Eclipse. On Twitter at IamTheEclipse. And that's the show. Hope you enjoyed and are one step closer to unlocking your definition of success. We love you. Appreciate you all for the support, good and bad. Take care and keep striving. We'll see you guys Saturday for UFC Vegas 31.
Makhachev versus
Moises.
Yeah, should be a fire one. Lightweights. Yeah, we'll see you guys on Saturday for UFC fight picks. Thanks y'all for listening. Take it easy. Have a blessed day. Catch you later.
Update.
Peace.